I seriously can't be the only one out there that likes to clean. You have no idea how many pairs of rubber gloves I've gone through. I love cleaning so much, and sometimes I use so much bleach that it literally eats through the plastic. But afterwards I feel fantastic. Get your gloves on! Get your gloves on! Because germs are disgusting and I don't want to touch them. You shouldn't want to touch them either. So get your gloves on. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to deep clean my bathroom. So we're not talking about just wiping down surfaces in here and making it look pretty. We are talking about getting into the nitty-gritty of it all. We are going to deep clean, we are going to disinfect, and we are going to be using our muscles to do it. So before I get into it though, if you like this type of content, give this video a thumbs up because I'm more than happy to make these types of videos. I got lots of cleaning going on in this house every single day. Also, if you have a product or maybe a process or a tip or something that you do when you deep clean your bathroom, please let me know in the comments below. We have got a lot of people and pets that use this space. I've got 6 people in this house and 2 pets, and it is tough to keep it clean. So I'm always looking for a new technique or a new product or a way of keeping things awesome and fresh in my home. So if you've got something, let me know. So with that, let's just get into it. First things first, put your hair up. Now we're ready. Get your gloves. Quick side note, if you are looking for any of the products that I'm using, I will link everything that I can below, with the exception of the elbow grease. You're gonna have to use your own elbows and your own grease, elbow grease. I don't know, whatever. You get what I mean. All right, so this is typically what I walk into in my bathroom on the daily after everybody has used it and sort of trashed it. So we're doing everything today. We're even emptying the drawers and the under cabinet space. But first, let's take a look at this grossness. Gotta do a lot of, ooh, so gross. Apparently somebody had a sunburn and let the gooiness of their aloe vera gel leak all over. That's gross. That's disgusting. You can tell the color of the grout up here is a lot better than the color of the grout down there. First things first, empty everything out.
I always make sure to remove everything from the bathroom. It makes it that much easier to get at the surfaces if there's nothing in the way. It may seem a little excessive, but I also remove everything from the cabinet as well. Again, it just makes it easier to get in and clean every single surface. And if I'm lucky, I have one of the little kids come in and try to help. If that's what you call helping. All of the towels, bathtub toys, and toiletry items need to go as well. Next up, I bring in all of my products. I've got everything from bleach to Mrs. Meyer's cleaner to Barkeeper's Friend and even Comet. And don't forget to grab all of your sponges, your brushes, and your gloves. First things first is I use Clorox gel bleach to line all of the grout lines in the shower. I'm mainly focusing on the bottom third here because that's where it was really gross looking. The top part of the shower really doesn't need it. It probably just could use a light scrubbing. But any of the heavy use areas or places that are discolored definitely could use this bleach. And all you do is you go line by line, every single area that has grout or even where the caulk is, where the tub meets the tile, and line it with the bleach. And what you'll see is that it actually clings onto the surface and really gets in there. And I will do this even along the floor or other little areas that are just discolored and really need a good deep clean. And I always make sure to do this first at the very beginning of a deep clean. That way the bleach has a very long time to actually set in and work its magic. Next up is Comet, and I have to say this is such an underrated product. I use it all the time. It is excellent for really getting at those tough stains in a porcelain tub. I also tend to mix in a little bit of Barkeeper's Friend because we do have well water and we tend to get a lot of hard water stains, and this product works magic for actually loosening those stains and really sprucing up your stainless steel areas. Don't forget to coat the shower head with Barkeeper's Friend as well. It'll really break down those hard water stains and calcium deposits. And flip on the fan switch if the fumes get to be a little bit much. Next up is my least favorite task, which is cleaning the toilet. And I typically take a first approach where I just stand back and spray the entire thing down. Don't forget the outside of the toilet as well as the surrounding floor area as well. And even the side of the cabinet next to the toilet. Then I wipe the surfaces down, everything from the cabinet next to the toilet as well as the toilet itself, making sure to get every little bit. Once the outside is thoroughly wiped down, I come back in with the Clorox bowl cleaner. And I add a little extra bleach as well. And then this is where the elbow grease comes into play because you have got to scrub that thing. And then I let it sit. Next up is cleaning the drawers in the vanity. And I love to use my little Shark vacuum because it's just handheld and easy to get into all the little nooks and crannies. Luckily enough, these drawers were not too dirty, so it was just really a quick vacuuming and a wipe down was all that they needed. And I will do the exact same thing for the storage area underneath the vanity where I keep the towels. I'll then move on to spraying the inside of the cabinet, and what I use for this is Mrs. Meyer's. It's one of my favorites. I always buy the large concentrated container, and then what you can do is just mix up your own multi-surface spray concoction. And the great thing is you can make it as strong or as light as you want based on how much of the concentrate you put into the bottle. For me, I usually do maybe a couple tablespoons and then fill the rest of the bottle up with hot water. As you can see from far away, the surface didn't look that bad, but when you get up close, it was actually pretty grimy and there was a good buildup of dust. And then I move on over to the drawers and spray those out and wipe them down as well. You can definitely tell that there were some spills in these drawers somewhat recently, and so I definitely need to get some sort of drawer protectors just to keep the wood nice. But for now, it's just about getting it clean. And then I move on to the actual outside of the cabinet, again spraying everything down and then really giving it a firm wipe. There are lots of nooks and crannies of the woodwork on this particular piece of furniture, and sometimes it can make it a little bit more difficult to get into the corners, but if you need to, you can use a small sponge or even a small toothbrush to really work towards those corners and get all the grime out. At times I've even used a Mr. Eraser sponge so that I can get some of the scuff marks off of here as well. And again, get your workout in today because we are using a lot of elbow grease to get this thing clean. And here I'm just using my scrub brush because there were just some stubborn areas in those corners where it was really hard to get the grime out of it. Even when I wiped very, very firmly, it still sort of built up in the corners. And so the nice thing about this brush is it's got teeny tiny bristles that really loosen the dirt. And then I come back in with a cloth and again, wipe everything and respray if needed. And don't forget your baseboards. These things can definitely get dirty over time. So again, you're going to spray it, use a brush, preferably with some small but maybe firm bristles so you can really get into all the grooves, and then wipe it down again and respray multiple times if needed. Now that the bleach gel has been sitting on the grout for a good period of time, probably at least a half an hour at this point, what I do is I go back in and sort of scrub and spread the gel all over. That way I just distribute all of the product and it just continues to clean not only the grout but also the surface of the tile. And if the fumes get to be a little bit too much, don't forget to open a window, open the door, turn on a fan, whatever you have to do to make sure that you've got proper ventilation. Really working into those corners is vital to making sure that you get all of the grime and dirt off of the surface. Don't forget to scrub the shower head as well. Next up, grab your sponge and start scrubbing the bathtub. By now, the bleach and the Comet has had a really good chance to sort of break up any buildup or mildew or grossness that was on there. So it should be a little bit easier to scrub all of that grime off. Don't forget the ledge of the bathtub. It gets dirty too. And then work your way to the actual outside of the bathtub. So scrub down the entire outer surface, and then again focus on those corners and the areas where the tub meets the tile, and really get in there to work all of the dirt out. This is definitely a problem spot in our house. It just tends to get gross and have a lot of dirt and mildew in that area. I think it's just because the kids take so many baths and they tend to splash the water all around. So I always focus on this area for a good period of time. Then it is time to rinse. So I turn the water as hot as possible and aim it towards the wall, and really just, again, using that sponge, kind of work into all the nooks and crannies, do a little bit of extra scrubbing as it is rinsing, but really at the end of this, you want all of the product to be rinsed off in the shower. But I also plug up the tub stopper so that I can let all of that water collect and then again scrub the tub one last time. If you see that you missed any spots, don't be afraid to go back in with that scrub brush. As I'm putting the finishing touches on the bathtub and the shower, I will often notice a few areas that maybe I missed. And so sometimes I'll have to let the water soak a little bit to really break up some of the soap scum, and then go back in with the sponge. And again, just keep working those areas that are just a little bit tough and stubborn to get clean. And feel free to scrub your hardware as well. Next up, I am moving back over to the vanity and using Comet in the sink. It's gentle, but it's also a little bit abrasive, and so it really helps break up all of the weird buildup that you may have in there, whether it's soap or toothpaste, it doesn't matter. This stuff will cut through it. And I'm sure to work all of the corners, as well as make sure I sort of get underneath the lip of the marble that's right inside that sunken sink. Leave no surface untouched. After the inside of the sink is clean, I will then just use water and a washcloth to wipe down the marble. You have to be really careful if you have natural stone in your bathroom. You do not want to be using any sort of abrasive materials on that stone. It will wind up scuffing the surface of it and leaving really bad abrasive marks if you wind up doing that. So don't use Comet in this area. I just use water and a washcloth and lots of elbow grease. Be sure to rinse often so you are always using a nice clean cloth. And I will work the hardware around the sink as well. Again, removing any sort of buildup. Toothpaste seems to be a common thing that is found on our fixtures in the bathroom, so it takes a little bit of time to loosen it, but it's worth it. And then I will clean the mirror, and I just use any sort of normal glass cleaner for this. This mirror does have a beveled edge to it, so it makes it a little bit more difficult at times to really get into all the little corners and the nooks and crannies in the bevel, but you just have to keep going at it. By that time, the marble surface will have been completely dried, air dried, and then I go back in with a natural stone polish just to sort of buff the surface. It leaves it with a nice shine. Make sure to use circular motion. That way you will have a good, even look to the surface. You won't have any areas that are sort of more buffed versus left. Do not forget your light switches. These things can get nasty over time, so you're going to want to give it a good cleaning. Often, if we've had somebody in our house that has been sick, whether it is the cold or a flu, cleaning the light switches and the door handles in the house is one of the top things that I will do. They're just one of those areas that gets touched frequently and just tends to build up dirt. I also made sure to wipe down our floor tile thermostat, and then I moved on over to the towel bar. And then back over to my least favorite task of getting anywhere near the toilet, but yeah, I definitely go back to this thing a lot and continue to wipe it down. Respray and wipe it down. I will once again go back over all of the surfaces on the toilet because over time I have let those chemicals from the first round of spraying really just sort of soak in, and so now I'm going back to give it another good wipe down. And don't forget to reach back behind the toilet. This is another area that just tends to collect dirt and grime and dust, and you don't want to neglect it when you are doing a deep clean like this. I also make sure to wipe down the wall next to the toilet. There's often just things that get stuck on this wall. I don't know what they are. Quite frankly, I don't care. I just want them off, and I just want this bathroom really, really clean. So again, spray it. If you need to, spray it, walk away for a little bit, let the cleaning product work its magic and sort of loosen the grime for you, and then come back in and wipe it all down. Be sure to get the baseboards around the toilet as well. Now that we've got the tub done and the toilet is sparkling clean, it is time to clean the floor. Again, I use my Mrs. Meyer's for this, and I will use the hottest water possible, and of course, a little bit of bleach as well. Now for this floor clean, we are not using a mop and just sort of going over the surface. We are getting down on our hands and knees, and we are using a sponge and rags to get into all of the little areas and really scrub this floor. I find that sometimes if you use a mop, it tends to maybe push the dirt around a little bit versus actually scrubbing it and lifting it off the surface. So sometimes when I use the mop, I will see some dirt still built up in the corners of the bathroom. But when you're on your hands and knees and you are scrubbing and using a sponge and rags, there's no excuse. You're going to get every little bit off the floor. And when I'm down here, I will often take the opportunity to once again make sure I get every bit and piece off of those baseboards, and then even work around the base of the vanity cabinet as well, because there's just areas that you don't typically see when you walk into the bathroom. But when you're down on your hands and knees scrubbing the floor, oh yeah, you'll see the dirt down there. Make sure to use your scrub brush on the grout as well if you have tile floor. And likewise, if you have white grout on your floor and it is looking dingy or gross, you could definitely do the same thing on the floor as what I did in the shower, meaning grab your Clorox gel bleach and put it in the grout lines. It will lighten and brighten that grout just like it did in the shower. I even went a little crazy and cleaned up some of the scuff marks that I had in the vanity with some spray paint, and then I also did some touch-up on the floor vent as well. Now that we are done with the cleaning, it is time to bring all of the pieces back into the bathroom. I always make sure to wipe down all of the bottles and little trinkets and such that I'm bringing back in as well. If you spent all this time cleaning the bathroom, you definitely don't want to be bringing dirty things back in. These suction cups are awesome. I think I got them on Amazon a long time ago, but they're really, really strong. They grip onto the tile. And then what I use is just a small lingerie type of wash bag that you would put your delicates into the washer and the dryer. And I use this to put the kids' bath toys in. That way they can sort of air dry, but they're also out of the way so they're not just thrown about in the bathtub. And of course, putting all the little kids' toys back in. I then moved over to the vanity and put all of the items back in the drawers. I did a little bit of decluttering of items as well. I just had so much stuff in this bathroom, and a lot of it didn't really even belong in here, so I really just brought back in the necessary items. I like to keep the vanity really clean and crisp looking, so I don't put too many things out. I really just have my cotton ball container as well as some hand soap. And then I always bring back in my hand towels and a washcloth. And I have my wax melt in the corner as well. But sometimes that's just kind of nice to bring in a little bit of fresh scent. I'll bring fresh, clean towels back in and make sure that they are hung nicely on the hooks. After a few hours of deep cleaning this bathroom, I have to admit, it is looking and feeling fantastic. All of the surfaces are spotless. They've been disinfected and degrimed. Everything is bright and shiny. Even the walls were cleaned. My favorite is probably the shower because it really does make such a difference when you use the bleach on the grout.
All right, everybody, there you have it. That's my top to bottom deep clean bathroom routine. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. I got a lot more awesome content coming your way. Later.